So in this situation here, you got to your final trial with the divorce, and what happened then?
Well, we just settled.
That's right.
We never got to the final trial.
That's right. I'm
I was
sorry,
forced.
yeah.
I was forced to settle. So that day we settled on May 23rd of 2018.
Yeah.
We just settled, and even the amicus screwed me there because I was supposed to have ESPO, and she was going to add an additional day. I was supposed to have the kids overnight Wednesday and Thursday, and then have them, the first, third, and fifth weekends.
Right.
Because I was giving up my Sunday night. I was making a trade-off because I wanted to do homework. The amicus screwed up on purpose, and it's because my ex-husband wouldn't agree to it, but they didn't tell me about it until we went before the judge to do the final.
And that's not been unheard of either. Where
they do it on purpose.
Yeah, they do it on purpose because that way they're going to come back, you're going to fight some more. They've got another source of income coming in.
Yeah.
So what is the situation? Well, let me ask you another question then. Your ex-husband was violent towards you and abusive. Has he been that way to the children?
A lot of people ask me that question, and my response to them is, what am I supposed to tell you? Nobody can help me, so there's no point. Because if I tell you, are you going to contact CPS, make an anonymous call? What evidence do you have? My ex will come up after you with a vengeance. He will sue you for defamation. You will not do it, so what's the point of me even answering that question?
And just for the record, we have not mentioned your ex's name at all.
No.
So because I have seen this in the past as well, I'm asking you your opinion. I'm actually, as a reporter for a news organization, so if that's what we wants to go, I just want to make sure that we are making sure that no names are mentioned. Your children's name have not been mentioned. Your name has been mentioned, but nobody who doesn't know your ex-husband should be able to put the two and two together.
No.
So, and you're speaking factual truth.
Yes, I am.
So, I mean, truth is supposed to be the defense against defamation.
Yes.
Unfortunately, in our society today,
No.
judges don't always see it that way. So, afterwards, okay, this is 2018, so you have your children approximately less than half time.
Except for the summer.
Yeah.
So I'm good enough to be a parent in the summer, and I have them every other week for the full week.
Yeah.
So only during the summer, it's a full 50-50 possession exchange. From the very beginning, and what I fought for all this time, the primary fight, because I was well educated through the mentors of the fathers groups, is to fight for your rights first. Fight for your parental rights. Not necessarily, yes, you want your kids, at least 50% of the time, but what you have to fight for is the parental rights aspect. So I have joint managing conservatorship, and I had that ever since the temporary order.
So what that means, and just so we're crystal clear, that means you have 50-50 and you're not paying any child support, is that right?
No.
Oh.
What it means is I have equal rights to medical records, make medical decisions for the children, school decisions for the school records, and that's been a hassle in itself. I can talk about a whole another subject about with the schools, even though I have joint managing conservatorship, and that's something you have to fight and stay on top of, especially if your ex decides to move the kids 3 times in 1 year at 3 different schools in 2 different school districts, because they don't like that you got buddy-buddy with the PTA and the principal and the school teachers and volunteer.
But I heard you say, if I heard you correctly, that you do have to pay child support?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
My child support payments originally were $2,565, and they were like that until a few months ago. That they finally dropped because my ex-husband was suing me for more child support. He felt that I was hiding income, and so we went back to court, and he was trying to get my child support increased. Instead, the judge decreased it by $300, so now it's $2,231, I think.
Even still, that is very punitive.
Yes, because I do get my kids most of the time, and even during the school year, I get them right after school at 3 p.m.
There is a section in the Texas Family Code, 201.107C, and it says that the judge is supposed to make an order in such a way so as to maximize Title 4D funding. And Title 4D funding is attached to child support orders, which is one of the reasons why there's almost always, if not always.
It has to be funneled through the OAG's office, the Office of the Attorney General. I was forced, and I kept begging I actually, it's on transcript. I begged our judge to allow me to pay him directly because before, all during our litigation and the temporary orders until our divorce is finalized, I was wire transferring the money to my ex-husband's bank account. And there was well documentation, I could keep track of it. But the judge refused at the divorce decree, and I begged her. And she asked me why, and I said, well, there's a negative connotation of that. I'm a great parent. I've always paid my bills, and actually I pay him 2 weeks ahead of time, and I don't dole out the money by paycheck. I pay him a full month in advance, 2 weeks ahead of time, because I said he starts his family wizard emails, because he always does. When am I going to get paid? You get paid every same time. I wire transfer the money, but she was insistent on doing it the way the system works in the state of Texas, which is through the Office of the Attorney General.
And if you do that, that's how
garnishment.
Yeah, exactly.
It was all garnishment, and I work in an industry that they do check your credit for. You're working with the top individuals of companies and CFOs, and I just didn't want that stigma. But all the judges make you have if you can't settle in a certain way and it goes before a judge, they're going to garnish your wages. Mm-hmm. That's what they do.
So let me ask you then, as far as for you, again, you coming from the background that you did, as a wife who's gone through an incredible amount of abuse, divorce was not quick and easy and painless and cost-free.
No, just my legal fees alone, just talking about attorney fees, was over $350,000 just the first go-around. That's just the first go-around in 2 years of litigation. If you think you live in the state of Texas and your house is protected against judgments or anything like that because it's homesteaded, the house was in my name. My former attorneys, in collusion with my ex-husband and his attorneys, force sold my home. The judge signed off to force sell my home because it had about over $200,000 in equity. His attorneys got to pick what realtors they wanted to put my house up for sale. I had no decision-making power in the process. And of course, the judge forced it to be sold. During the interim, I tried to file for bankruptcy because I was put into $900,000 in debt during this time. And then my ex-husband and my former attorney hired bankruptcy attorneys to fight my bankruptcy, so that didn't go through. Anything you name it, I've been through it, through my divorce. But things that you think are protected and you think you're going to find justice, especially in the family law system because it involves children and it's for the benefit of the children, it's not. The judge signed an order to sell my home, to kick out my kids, because I was willing to still pay for half the mortgage. I was still paying for half the mortgage. She forced my children and my ex-husband to move. And that gave him full leeway to move wherever he wanted to. And if he wanted to move, a county or two away because it said it's contiguous counties, he could do that. So things that you thought were protected just aren't. And who raped the money out of the house of being sold were all the attorneys. I never saw one damn dime. And the money that was left over, there was about $43,000 that was left in equity that was held at the courthouse, at the judge, in whatever fund that they keep, and they were earning interest off of that, and it was never granted to me. It was granted to my ex-husband.
Incredible. So, is there anything else you want to add here? We've taken you up to your divorce a little bit of time afterwards, and part of what I wanted to do, the way the Texas Family Law Foundation portrays this is that it's these angry men, by and large, that are doing this stuff.
No, they were never aggressive or angry, or I've never seen them act out. In court, they've always been calm, collected. They are just fighting to see their kids. A lot of them aren't even arguing the child support angle. Like, I've never really argued the child support angle, except my ex kept trying to increase it, thinking he wasn't getting enough money out of me.
But
Everybody's just trying to see their kids.
right. Between the two of you, are your incomes relatively equal?
Equal.
Okay.
Equal. And with his bonuses, he actually makes more money than me, but my base salary is more than his.
Okay.
But it equals out. We're equals
Yeah.
in that aspect.
Except that you have to pay him
Yes.
for the honor of being his punching bag for many
yes.
years.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I still pay to this day.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you ever considered to be a deadbeat mom?
No, but he does, and that's what he spreads around, is that I don't pay him enough. I do owe him, I switched jobs in November, so he is missing out on half of a month, 2 weeks, actually less than that. So I owe him still $900 to pay out for that month of November of last year, which he's threatened to sick the OAG after me.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the way that it works in Texas, they may do something about it.
Yeah.
We've talked, and I don't know, I mentioned a little bit about this.
Well, I'm licensed by the state of Texas as an insurance agent, so he's threatened to pull my license.
Talk about that, about the licensing part. This is a very interesting point that you're making.
Yeah, well, the OAG has sent me 2 letters to try to catch up that payment. I can only pay so much. I only see so much. I have my apartment rent to pay. But for the $900, he's trying right now, presently, he's trying to get my insurance agent's license that I've had since '93 pulled. So.
Because if you're behind on child support, what can they do?
They can pull your license to practice. If you're licensed in your industry, and I'm a professionally licensed individual to work, they can pull your license, then I won't work in my profession. I would not be able to make the money I'm making. There's nobody that's going to pay me. That's where my specialty is. I don't know what else to do.
Right.
I could do other jobs, but it's not going to pay me 6 figures.
Yeah, yeah. And that's really a shame that because, and I've been at the meetings where they've talked about the weapons that they have at their disposal to make people pay child support. But in a case like this, the child support is given indiscriminately. The child support is often given to an innocent spouse, and it's being force paid, and you can lose everything, including your ability to drive. You can lose the ability to have a passport, travel out of the country, because now you're a flight risk. You can have your license pulled from you, which once they pull away from you your means of making income, how are you ever supposed to catch up?
Exactly.
They could throw you into jail, and I'm sure that there are incentives
I was
for them.
threatened by my ex and his attorney to bring it to our judge to have an enforcement of my child support, and I said I pay more than most dads. In my predicament because I've sat on several court hearings that dads are making upwards twice as much as I am, and they're only paying, even with 3 children, they're paying $800 a month. So
Right.